Hey guys, Kirk here, and thank you for joining me on a new video on the channel. In this video I want to look at a couple of things that we can do with the albedo texture. One of them is we're going to create a mask from our albedo texture, and which you could break up the colour of it and create another section of a mask and apply a colour there, or you could apply a texture. Like this crate here on the left hand side, we may, you could break that up, the albedo, and put like a red on there so it looks like there's blood. I don't know, it's just a neat little trick to know. Also, we've got to go over colour variation. And what that means is when we click on our asset and we have one here and want to duplicate it, it will automatically just change colour. So we don't have to worry about anything like prop placement. That's what it's good for. Object placement is props in a level or an environment. Good things like that. So yeah, let's just set this back up. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to look at the albedo mask and colour variation. On the screen here, you'll see I've got two planes. The one on the right is a displaced plane using the modelling tools, and the one on the left is a displaced plane using, I can't say the word, geometry scripting. I have been testing it out and I will be showcasing how to do it on this channel. So if you're interested in things like that, then hit that subscribe button. Okay, so let's get started. Let's create ourselves a new material. I've got a folder here called testing where I test out a load of materials. So I am going to right click here and get a new material. In this video I'm going to do this in a material, but in my next video I'm probably going to apply it to the master material, which is a series I'm doing on my channel. If you're interested in creating a master material for assets and props, then go check that series out. Test albedo mask. Okay, we're going to right click and create a material instance of this, and I'm just going to drag this onto my crate. Well, it's not mine, but I'm going to drag it on there. We're going to open this material up and we're going to build up our material in here. Just going to drag it to the top. I'm going to, like I said, build my material up in here and work from there. What I need is the actual textures for this asset that we've applied our material instance to. So I'm going to click on it, come to the outliner, and we are going to find the old wooden chests, go on the details, and where it says here, just click that on the model and it'll take your content drawer to where that is. I'm just going to use the albedo and normal for this demonstration today. We'll drag that into our new material we just created. First things first, we're going to change these two from texture asset to shared wrap. As I always say in my videos, guys, it's good to get in that habit. Even though with the type of material we're doing today, we won't need to worry about that kind of thing, but it's always a good habit to get into. So what I want to do first is build some basic controls so we can change various properties with the albedo and normal. Start with the normal. I'm just going to get a flat and normal node. I'm going to, from the flatness here, I'm going to drag off there and get a 1 minus. This function here is a flat and normal. So when you increase the value, it flattens the normal, and we don't want that. We want to increase the normal. So if we 1 minus it, we're basically inverting that value. So if I drag off the 1 minus and get a scalar parameter, and we'll call this normal. And we'll give this a default value of 1.1. A minimum of 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and a 1. The reason I do that, guys, 0.5 zeros and a 1, that's the absolute minimum value you can get into a scalar parameter without it reverting back to 0, just like that. So if you just type 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a 1, you'll be fine. And then we're going to go for a maximum of a 2 with our normal. And we'll put this into a basic category. Okay, so that will be fine for our normals. So we'll just plug that straight into our normal output right there. We don't need anything more with the normal. That's all done now. Okay, so albedo, what do I want first? I want to affect some desaturation. So if we drag off the RGB of our albedo texture sample and just type desat, We'll get desaturation, we want the colour category. We'll drag off here, get a scalar parameter, and we'll call this desaturation. Right, so we'll start with 0.12345 zeros and a 1. In fact, I'm just going to highlight that, Control and C and copy it, and Control and V into the slider min, and max can be 2. This can also go in our basic. We're going to drag off here, and we are going to get a multiply. So MULT, get a multiply in here. This is going to control the brightness of our asset. We'll drag off here now and type in scalar parameter. We'll call this brightness. Okay, so we want some controls for our contrast. Remember guys, these are just basic controls. If you've already got these, then it's fine, just hang around. Contrast. I'll use a cheap contrast. I usually would use a right click power node for contrast, but these are quite expensive compared to the cheap contrast, hence why they've made this little function up. We're going to drag off the contrast and get a scalar parameter again. We'll call this contrast. Right, so the contrast value is going to be 1, and Control and V, and then 3 for the contrast. We'll just highlight all of these, put them into the basic category, and leave them there like so. And now we'll apply that in there. We should get some sort of thing here. Oh, we are not. So desaturation's fine. Brightness, put a 1 in there. Nope. Set apply. Nope, don't like that. I'm going to put 0 in there. Bring that contrast up. Okay, so I think I'll remove that and just go with my power node. It's what I know. So I'll just use the power node, put that in there, it's a base colour. We'll set this back to a 1, and there you go. Even though it's cheap contrast, I still always prefer the power node. Okay, so that's our basics set up. Right there. Straighten these up a little bit. Okay, so we're going to use this albedo to create our mask. Essentially what we need to do when you look at an albedo, it's always in an RGB, because an albedo is RGB, 3 vectors. And you have a red channel, green channel, blue channel. If I untick the red, we get our green and blue. You see the mixture. And if I untick the green, you'll see we get a black and white grayscale texture in our albedo. You can get one in the green, but it's a little bit brighter. This is more for utilising specular and roughness if you don't have the texture maps. I will showcase that in a couple of videos time, where I'm doing an in-depth look at roughness, where we can create a lot of variety with roughness. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. We're going to use a blue channel today, as that's got the darker values, and it will help a lot. Okay, so like I said, we're going to use the blue values of our albedo. First things first though guys, I don't want to really look at it like this, like a sphere. I don't even want to use a cube, because it just doesn't look right. So what I'm going to do is utilise what we can with this 3D viewport. So I'm going to open it up like this and just make it a little bit bigger so we can see it. Now I'm going to navigate to where my asset is. Oh, I'm already there, to be honest. We've just got the textures. If we just click on this asset, just one click it, you don't have to double click it, just click on it once so it's highlighted. And in the bottom right hand corner you'll see this sets the preview mesh based on the current content browser selection. So I've selected our asset there. If I click that, you'll see we get that asset in the 3D viewport. It's a very handy thing to have. We can press F on it, it'll zoom in, and you can hold left alt down and left click, and you can rotate around the objects as well. Like I say, it's very useful to have that kind of thing. Okay, so we want to get our black and white values from this albedo mask. The way we could do it is similar to this setup. If we drag off our blue channel, get a multiply, like so, and this is going to break our values up for the black and white. This will set the individual markers for it, and then we can drag off here, and we are going to use that cheap contrast. We'll use that cheap contrast node, like so. What I want to do here as well is drag off the result of our cheap contrast and get a saturate node, and we're going to clamp the values of our blue vector through the multiply and the contrast, and we're going to clamp it between a 0 and 1. We're going to right click on this and start to preview it, and you'll see there now we're getting them black and white values coming through. We just need to adjust our values here in our multiply and cheap contrast. So I'm going to drag off our multiply and get a scalar parameter. I'm going to call this albedo mask amount. Like so, and if I come in here and just set this to a low value like 0.4, you see that's fairly dark. What I need to do now is increase our cheap contrast. This cheap contrast version, you don't need to make it a scalar parameter. So if we hit 1 on the keyboard and left click, we just need to implant the value into there without the artist being able to change it. So here we're going to start with a value of 1 and work our way up, find the best value we can. Completely black, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10. I'm literally getting no values coming through there. I'm going to set this cheap contrast back down to a 5 because I know 5 around that value works. Maybe our amount. Let's increase this to a 2, 3. There we go. Now we're seeing them white dots coming through. This is the kind of values we want. So if I come to our albedo mask amount, let's increase this. We should be really setting more values than that. It's not really coming through like I thought it would. What I'll be setting this around 10, maybe. We'll try and increase or decrease this value, 3. There we go. Maybe the contrast value is too high. So yeah, this is essentially what we've done now, is created a mask out of our albedo, just using a multiply and a contrast. That value is fairly high. I'm not happy with that. So 5. If we decrease our contrast, we'll go for a 1. Yeah. And now we've got that value in there. It's looking okay. We want to be able to increase this. If we go to a 6, 5, 10, 20, 50. It's not really -1. Oh, wait there. 5. We'll just increase that to a 5. Just change it in here. There we go. It wasn't, normally it changes in there, but it obviously was not. I think this just showcases the structure of your parameters. So yeah, we're getting some good values there. If we reduce this right down, then we could get like blood splatters on there. But for testing purposes, we'll just increase this right to 10. So we're getting a good amount of black and whites. And you can see now we've got a nice little mask there that we can use to apply something else to. Okay, so let's add a bit of colour to this. What I want to do is hold 3 down on the keyboard and left click, and we'll get a vector 3. We can right click that and convert to a parameter, and we can call this albedo mask color, like so. We'll drag this into a multiply. Let's see if this works. It might not, but we can see. And if I just highlight this, left control and C, we'll drag out of the B and get a scalar parameter. We'll left control and V, color, brightness, like so. I'm going to highlight the albedo mask bit, left control and C, and get them, put this name into the group, and then I can do it in this one as well, albedo mask. Okay, so there we go, we've got that now. What we need is a lerp. So if you hold L on the keyboard and left click and get a lerp, and we can blend our colour. We'll set this to a red for now, like a darky red like this. We'll blend our albedo mask colour with the albedo, and we'll use the alpha of this mask here, the albedo mask. We stop previewing this, and we just right click this and start to preview this. And now we're seeing kind of, let's put a 1 in our brightness. It's not quite what I was looking for, but I see what it's trying to do. I can reduce that brightness down a bit. As you can see, the mask has taken over the whole texture and still left the white. What I need to do here, guys, is simply invert it. Just like we did with the flat and normal, we'll just invert it with a 1 minus node. We drag that in there, then into the saturate. And there we go, we're getting that colour now in our mask area. Now I'm wondering if this mask increases the thingy. No, it doesn't. But it is kind of increasing the amount of red in that mask in general. So I may set this to a 2, or maybe a 1, and go 0.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 1, and then a 3 for the brightness of our mask. But as you can see there, guys, we've now got this red colour coming through our mask. You must keep in mind with this mask here, with this colour of our mask, you can change this to another texture. If I come to mega scans, surfaces, I'll just use this arbitrary colour I've got here. So I can throw that in there. I can just apply that to the multiply, and now that texture is now showing up on our model, as you can see. If we drag off here and just type U, V, oh no, hold, what we need is a coordinate node, so hold U on the keyboard and left click, text coordinate. I'm just going to increase these to 2 and a 2, these values, and we can actually see it a little bit better now, what it's doing. Maybe a 5 and a 5. Just for purposes of showcasing it, what it's doing. And I can, like I say, increase that value, make it brighter, darker. So imagine you get a decal, or you want some blood on your mesh or model, sorry. You can apply it this way. So I can increase the amount of this showcasing on here, and you can see now that texture is coming through on top of our crate. Based off the values of this mask here. So yeah, let's just put the red back in there. But yeah, I'm just like I was saying, guys, sorry, I could get another complete material here, so I can right click and make material attributes and put my albedo in there, my metallic, my normal roughness, specular, and all that, and then just plug that into there. Oh, it don't work actually. It'll probably go in there. Oh right, okay, so if you was to do it this way, you would need to use what's called a blend material attribute node. And you could just put that in there, and then put your thing in there, and then put this into the alpha of our blend material attributes. That's if you want to use textures. For here, no, we're just going to stick with this colour. Okay, so we've got this brightness value going on. Got this mask, let's increase that rate a bit, and you can see now we're getting all that red over there. Okay, so we'll just apply this to our desaturation. We'll right click that and stop previewing it, and now this should be added, and now we've got all the qualities of these basic controls along with our red marks of our colour. I'm going to reduce this down a bit. I'm going to put 15 in there so it's not so obnoxious. And you can see now we've created a nice little mask for our colour, which could be red. Like I say, you could make a texture, you could do a load of things and then just apply it to that multiply. So yeah, and that's how you create a mask from your albedo and then apply what you want to it. What I want to showcase now is how we can randomize our colour using a function that comes with Unreal Engine. What we could do now actually as well is drag off here and we'll get a switch. We'll get a static switch parameter and we could call this enable Albedo mask. Like so, and we set that to true. You could come in here and put a vector 1 and do that, so it gets rid of the error. But if this is set to false, it'll just show a black crate because we're not taking the information from our texture sample, which is here. To combat this and still carry on with that albedo, you could come off the false here and put it in the RGB, and you'll see there we get our albedo texture back. And then we could just do this and then just organize it a little bit so whoever's in here can read it properly. And that's essentially what you could do with that. You can also invert the mask as well. I'll quickly showcase that. If I just copy all these and duplicate them, like so, we could use this. It may work, this it may not, I don't know yet, I've not tried. We'd have to get rid of that, and then we could just get another switch parameter. Switch, a static switch parameter, we could call this albedo mask inverted, like so. And then we could just drag that into the false because this is the inverted one. And then we just drag that switch parameter into the alpha, now like that. And we could, let's test that out actually. We'll start previewing. You'll see here now, because we're false, we're just taking this value. And I could increase this to 5 maybe. 10. These are just things you've got to do, you've got to hard code it in. And that is pretty much inverted. What if I went to -1? Well no, if it was -1 it would be inverted like the other one. So if I just go to a 1, just keep it like that, and then I could just reduce this. Oh no, increase it even more, sorry. And there you go. And now we're around the 35 value. But I can come in here and just invert this quickly. Like that. And I could just... oh no, because it's both the same name. Oh, my mistake, guys. If I click on this one, go to amount, and go inverted. Yeah. Then if I disable this, we've got our inverted mask, which is just this side. And we can reduce this amount to 25, oh no, 35, 40. You see where I'm going with this? And you just got that bit of mask on there, you can apply anything to that you want. Like some blood. You can raise that down a bit, make it a bit darker. So it tries to imitate blood a little bit. And you can see there what we're going with. And so if I enable the inversion, it'll just switch it over to that side. And reduce that value a bit. Right, so yeah, like I say, now we've inverted our mask and we've got it both ways. We're going to set this to a false by default. So we're just using this one, which is fine by me. So yeah, let's set up this other bit, what I was talking about, where we can randomize our color selection. We'll right click and get a switch parameter. Again, and we can enable object, I'm thinking of a name, guys. Object position color. Maybe, I don't know. You could probably think of a better word than that. I could just put that into false, and that could carry on. And now we're still getting the false value, but if we get this thing, if we just type speed, we've got a function in here called speed tree color variation. We can just apply that into the true value. And we'll hold 3 on the keyboard and left click, get a constant, a vector 3 parameter. So we convert it to a parameter by right clicking. We'll call this variation color. Alright, so And here we could get a scalar parameter. Call this variation. Am I spelling this right? Oh, not got a capital there. How dare me. We could just set this default value to a 1. We'll put this in there. We'll set this random value to a green maybe, like so. So yeah, we've got our mask here, our albedo mask, and we've got our colour variation. The way this is working is it's using our persistence random node, which gives us a random value between the values set here. Oh, hello. And then we have our object position, which gets the position of the object in world space. And then, I don't know why they've done that. They could have just gone red and green, which is X and Y. Oh, never mind. And then they're getting both the values and combining the values together. And then basically, this is essentially putting it down to 0 to 1. And then normalizing after the fraction here. But yeah, that's a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to save that, we don't need to. Let's get out there and try this out. Oh, one thing before we do carry on, guys. Let's move this in a bit more. If we come here, I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to right click and convert to a parameter. Let's call this normal map. No, just normal will do. And I'll expose this as well. Convert to a parameter and just call this albedo. Obviously, guys, you could obviously take your time and make this more neater. I could as well, to be honest, but I don't want a dead long video today. Even though that's not straight. There we go. Okay, so we'll apply this. Save it. We'll save our work up to now. And then we'll come back here and you'll see we've got our crate here and our weird Japanese statue thing. We'll come back to masters, materials, testing. And you'll see here we've got our mask and this is our material instance. If I put that on there, well, it already is on there. If I right click this as well and create another material instance, like so, and we'll get this one and throw it on there. Just like that build. You'll see it all looks funny, but I'll showcase in a minute. So with this one, come to my details panel. I feel like my mouse has gone a little bit quick here. I'm going to open this instance, drag this out to one side. And you'll see now we have all our controls there. We have our brightness controls, contrast, desaturation and normal. I can increase that brightness there, that crate. I can increase the contrast to make it darker. Desaturation obviously gets rid of all the colour. So that's default, and obviously we know what our normals do. Even though that normal is not really affecting that as much as I'd like to. Let's do a 0, 5, oh, there you go, 3, 2, 2 will do. So yeah, we'll enable albedo mask. Just wait for this to kick in. And there you go, we've got our albedo mask. Hold it up here. We can change the brightness of our colour as well. We can also change the amount of mask that's been showcased. Right there. So yeah, that's one. What I'll do, I'll open this material instance now. We'll come to the details panel and we'll open this up. We'll drag this instance over. And simply because we exposed our albedo map and normal map, we can change them. If I click on this object, come to the details panel and just navigate to where this is, this nanite asset. And you can see here, if I just drag the albedo in there, like so, and then the normal, just let them update. Right, so, and you can see now our asset is here, looking all mossy and green. I could, like I said before, increase the brightness, even though we don't need to. If I do a 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, about right, increase the contrast a bit, making it look a little bit more wet, and we can increase some normals to max. Okay, so now we've got our nanite Japanese weird thing. I'm going to enable the albedo mask. And it'll be the same as this, but you're getting that albedo. See, the part I should have used this asset in the first place. You can see there we're getting that look of blood all over it, which is really cool. Let's go to the albedo mask inverted. See what this does. Yeah. Just keep your eye on the weird Japanese dog at the top. If I tick off the inverted, it gets rid of it. Tick it on again, it inverts that particular amount. I'm increasing the amount of red over that object now, and I can decrease it as well. Right, so yeah, so that's pretty cool, guys. So yeah, that's all I wanted to showcase, is making a mask using our albedo map. And we've also, oh, I've not checked it, enable object position color. So this is a bit of a funky one. As you can see, it's just all black. If I move this, you'll see the color is now changing. Right, so we can change it this way as well. I can get hold of it, just change it about. So if I've got something there like that, I can duplicate this and move it. It'll change its color on its own. For me personally, as an artist, well, I say I'm an artist, I don't think I am, to be honest. I can change it and find all these different colours, but the build in here, this speed tree variation, I'm not really sure that I like the way they do it. So I may do a tutorial and build my own using that object position node, where we could actually, am I getting carried away? Yeah, I will. I'm going to build my own function, not now, in another video, and I can use a texture to change the colour of the variation depending on that texture. So essentially I could get the albedo of this crepe, take the texture, zoom it in and make the texture pixelated, add it with a build like that, colour variation, add it to that, and it'll change the colour of this or the contrast depending on the pixels. But that's a different video entirely. So yeah, if you found this video useful and helpful, then leave a thumbs up and subscribe and show your support. I don't ask for money anywhere, like on what's that site called, Patreon or anything like that. All I ask for is support by subscribing and liking the videos. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thank you. Goodbye.